We're going to start with our fourth of these Design League playthroughs, and this one's from the wonderfully named scootmcgoot, who has been more of a regular in some Twitch streams recently, seen around the forums quite a bit, and looking forward to seeing what he's produced. Now, as with all the others in this mini contest, you're looking at a 350 wide by 800 area. This looks like it fits into that. And going for a more parkland sort of vibe, you can see the use of trees to break things up a little bit. We've got some water in play, so yeah, looking forward to seeing this one. Okay, so first hole, we have some bunkers, and they are, I guess they're going to challenge different lengths of driver quite nicely. The fairway then narrows anyway. I feel like we're protecting driver quite a lot, and the safe layup, fairway's not all that much wider anyway. Probably be looking to bring this fairway out a little bit over here would make me more consider laying up. It's a short hole, so I don't need to hit driver, but it feels like we're challenging tempo, which I'm okay with. It's evidently I don't have it. This is interesting. Okay, so green-wise, you're basically limited to two pin positions. We've got here or we've got the middle tier. There's nothing else. I think with the amount of slope you've put in, I'd want to see a bit more pinnable area. So probably extending it out the back might help, or losing some of these runoffs. The little runoff down here would be one I'd definitely be losing, because what you're also doing by making this part of the green kind of unplayable, at least I hope there's not a pin there, is you're meaning that this bunker's kind of out of play anyway, because people are only aiming for the middle. So if this part of the green is kind of like a hazard, as in it's running away, well then we've put two hazards right next to each other, which takes away the point of this one. For the front pin though, you've given me a good way of getting to it. I could run it on the front, you've got a backstop. Like there's some stuff here I really like. It's a narrow target, but there's more forgiveness in terms of whether I come at it from the front or the back. We're just going to hack out around a tree though, which is pretty symptomatic of all of my Design League videos so far. Otherwise, I like the concept of a tricky green for a relative, this is a good kind of like a, I guess it is a narrows template where if you go long and challenge these bunkers, you get the wedge in to a tricky green. If you lay up, you've got a longer iron into a tricky green. That makes sense. So I think concept wise it works, just probably execute it a little bit differently. Oh, nearly. Yeah, same with this one. I think there's just a bit too much slope on your greens generally for the amount of space they have on them. I'd probably... You've got a choice. I think you either tone down the severity of the slopes or you give more green space. Sightline is okay. I think I can see all of the bunkers. I would like... There's just a lot of empty space out here. And I know you've got another hole coming this way, but using some sort of planting to block off this view here would be good. I also think just my eye desperately wants to see a bunker short left. More than anything, I think this green needs a bit of definition as to where it is. It's kind of just, there's a green in a sea of like green heavy rough. The bunkers on the right do a good job of telling me where the edge of that green is. There's nothing on the left, which makes it quite difficult. I personally don't think I'm capable of holding this green, or at least that tier. Not with a shot like that. I guess you probably are. I don't know, I feel a common theme so far from a lot of the courses I've played is that par 3s are requiring the perfect shot. I think this one goes in... Oh, there we go. This one kind of goes into that category as well. Yeah, the emptiness over here. Emptiness is tough. It doesn't tend to translate that well in game, whereas like seeing just a load of grass in real life can work quite nicely. I'd want to see, I mean, particularly as you've got this big tree line over here, like even if you're only putting like 5 trees here and blocking off this whole right hand side of you, it will make a huge difference to how the hole looks. Um, in terms of the tee shot, it's basically doing the same as the first one. Like, here's some bunkers. Do you challenge them? Do you not? So I think I was fine with it on the first. And you're now pulling the same trick twice with your tee shot. It's, do I lay up or do I go for it and risk bunkers? And like, there's a bit more we can do with that strategy-wise. I'm just going to try and bound it through. Oh, nearly got there. But I still think that's, like, I might as well take that on, because if I'm laying back, I'm faced with this sort of length of shot anyway. Green site looks lovely. Oh, classic. Green site looks lovely. I really like it. I think you're bunkering, as I said on a previous video, a lot of things we see with newer designers tends to be scaling. I think your bunkers are generally a little bit small. This green feels massive compared to the last two. I think you're looking for somewhere between this green and the previous two. And as I mentioned in a previous video, for scaling, I generally recommend, there's a shot, generally recommend as you're splining your greens, go for about go for about 100 feet, 100 yards, sorry, when you're splining them. Or if you're going for 30, like 30 yards by 20, 35 by 25 is probably pretty good for the amount of slope that you're trying to put on. This planting's nice, and the water's okay. Yeah, I mean, this green is now tiny, and we've got it on a tough slope. This is basically saying you're not making birdie. Let's just, because if we look at the length of shot that I'm hitting in, and the green size, and the slopes of the green, I think there's just, you can use any, by all means use one of those methods to make it difficult. Like, make it a long, if it's a long hole, like length is in part your difficulty. If it's a short hole, these sort of green slopes can be the difficulty, or the small green can be the difficulty. Don't use all three of them together on a long hole. It's just making hitting the green a challenge. And then there's that runoff at the back, which I've hit not an awful shot, and I feel I've been punished about as badly as if I'd hit a really bad shot. And there's just a bit of like fairness there. But still, like, I mean, people are going to, and I guess that's the other thing when we start designing, like, people are going to make par really easily no matter how hard you make the hole. Just kind of embrace that and build to traditional principles, because it's a video game, and by definition, video games are generally easier than real life. I don't think you need this bunker. I think you could start this fairway a little bit closer, because, I mean, I appreciate that you've given me a lot of fairway given that it's a forced carry, but a forced carry of 240 yards is pretty steep. I'd probably be looking at starting this fairway at, like, I mean, the lowest I'd go to would be about 220. Yeah. Again, sightline is solid. I think you could use lifting this whole area up a bit. Bunker sculpting, some of them less good than others. So this one is very flat. If you check some of the bunker tutorials, raising up the back of them will really help. I think they're all in really good places. This one could use a kind of more of a better shape. I guess some of the others are really nice. Yeah, like this sort of style that you've been going with works. That one's just a bit formless. Now this one being a par 5, I have less of an issue with. But the same comments really. I think green's generally just a little too small. Oh my goodness, it's a perfect tempo. And obviously I anticipated the fast. Because I like the slopes on this green. I don't like the runoff at the back. I think with the mound you put, I don't think it really needs it. Hey! There we go. That's the one we should have had on the other par 5. And then we're finishing with Drivable Par 4. I say Drivable Par 4, it really isn't though, because of, like, I'm sure if you land it right here, you can probably bounce it on. but you're basically saying by breaking up and taking away all fairway run-on, it's basically saying there's absolutely no way that you are driving this green. So lay up or go long. And I've never really loved the concept of asking people to bounce over a green so they can have a pitch on. And in actual fact, with this one, if we're landing over the green, that's the best play anyway, because the green slopes from front to back. I don't know, I feel like we're encouraging just hit and hope on this hole. Ooh. That's not the tempo we wanted. Let's see how this works. Not very well is the answer. Yeah, I mean, I think I like the idea of this being drivable. In terms of how would I change it so that it works, I think you probably lose one of the bunkers either side. Like you bunker one side or the other. I'd probably open up the left-hand side, but it's up to you. I think you've got to allow some sort of fairway run-on, or you make an apron that comes down here and bring all of these bunkers back a little bit, would help. Secondly, I think the sloping front to back is fine, but then don't make there be kind of an easy way to hit to the back of the green. Would be another option, because I think this green complex does make sense. It's just hitting to this back portion, particularly if you've got the long driver and it's downwind, it's going to be really easy, and that's then a straightforward I'm hitting back up the green with a flop shot, and it's all very easy. I'm not making it look easy, but that's fine. But hopefully, as ever, hopefully this playthrough gives you a little bit of an idea of what you should be looking to work on and what's good. Like, I think there's a lot of the ideas there that are really good. I think bunker placement generally is there. I like the ideas of a lot of the slopes. Just the sizing, I think, is your main issue. Bunkers a bit as well, but I think sizing and scaling and getting those right so that the green slopes. And I guess the fairways, so like as in the player's got enough space to hit where you want them to hit, and you're not really just forcing that perfect shot all the time. But I think that's really common feedback for newer designers, and certainly stuff that I got at the beginning of my design career. So like I say, I hope that this helps, and yeah, for those of you who are watching, please do join up in Next Design League if you're interested in getting into contests in a low stake, kind of relatively casual format. You'll get some good feedback, and it'll also force you to do some different things to what you might otherwise do. Till next time.